Welcome to Spotlight Sioux Falls. This is a show about the dreamers and doers who are making this city thrive.
And I'm Tony, the big cheese over here at Big Papa's. And this is a show where we feature the real ones here in Sioux Falls. And we're here to shine a spotlight on you. So sit back, enjoy this episode, and don't forget to call us at 605.
Whoa, Tony, that's not in the contract. That's not what you're supposed to say.
I know, but I had to get a plug in there somewhere.
All right, well, you heard it from the big cheese here at Big Papa's. So now sit back and enjoy this episode of Spotlight Sioux Falls. Welcome to Spotlight Sioux Falls. I am Melissa Goodwin, one of the co-hosts on Spotlight Sioux Falls, and joined here today with Steve Schmidt. And we have an awesome episode for you today. We are at the headquarters, the HQ of Jans Corporation. We're here with Brad and Brian Jans, the multi-generational family of construction builders, business owners, entrepreneurs here in Sioux Falls.
Very handsome, like GQ up in the HQ right now.
Ooh, GQ up in the HQ. I like it.
Yeah, like half, it's, I feel like with these guys, when we got to know them, it's cowboy meets entrepreneur.
This is Steve Schmidt, by the way.
Hi, guys.
He's also a co-host of Spotlight Sioux Falls.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having us. Absolutely.
We get to tell Sioux Falls exactly what you do. Obviously, we've gotten to know you a little bit over the past couple months. I think it's a lot of people know of the name, right? And some people don't, even though you guys have been around for almost a half a century now. So we're going to dive into some things today. So thanks for making the time.
You bet.
All right. Well, so Jans Corporation, you guys have been around since the 80s, right? Well, your Jans Corporation has been here since the 80s. Tell us a little bit about how you came to be the bearers of the Jans keys.
Go ahead.
Sure. So our dad, Dale, started the business. Actually, he was working for a company in Sioux Falls in the late 70s, early 80s, and then bought that business called Neota Builders and then changed it to Jans Corporation in 1982. Brad and I both worked for the business growing up through school. Started we were 13, 14 years old and just worked our way through. And through Dale's rules and lessons, we had to depart and go somewhere else for at least a couple of years. So we both did that and then found our way back and just have been working through the ranks and taking over ownership from him and carrying the legacy on.
So you said, it's interesting. You said your dad asked you to leave for a little bit. Tell us about that rule. That's an interesting rule. Why did he require you to leave?
I think his belief was that if you grow up in the family business and stay in it, you don't have other experiences or opportunities to learn and to actually truly be an employee for a boss that's not a relative. He thought that was important for us to gain perspective, to gain experience, and to bring new ideas back. We learned different things of how different companies were doing things, and so able to bring that back, but also just gained a ton of respect for employees themselves and what they go through and what that looks like from that side of the table.
So I would bet if you were to drive around town, since Jans Corporation has been around since the 80s, there's probably a lot of buildings that we might be driving by every single day. Name a couple of spots or things that people might see if they're driving around Sioux Falls that were built by Jans.
Sure. There's several downtown. If you go downtown, the Phillips Center is a building that we built, and then the walkway going across 11th Street there, I believe. We built that walkway in.
Okay.
First Dakota National Bank used to be Marquette Bank. We built that building downtown. The Commerce Center, where the Chamber of Commerce is in, we built that building. So those are just a handful of some of the bigger buildings in downtown. But we've done a lot of churches. So like Our Savior's Lutheran Church was a big addition that they put on, a whole nother sanctuary, full-size gym. That's another one that I was involved with pretty heavily. So that always sticks out in my mind.
Awesome. And so you have, you do a lot of churches, you do a lot of commercial construction, but you also have a few other companies. You want to tell us just in general what your other companies are, what they do, and the kinds of the scope of work that you do?
Yeah, so a few years ago, we were approached by another general in town who was looking for help on a project, but one of their requirements was our guys couldn't wear shirts, drive our trucks. They didn't want our logos on their job. So Brian saw an opportunity that we could take some of our self-performing crews, our concrete crew, our precast and steel erecting crew, title them under a new entity, and those guys can go out and bid work to other generals. So our concrete crew, which is Concrete Solutions Unlimited, or CSU, Blue Arc is our steel and precast crew, which is their own company now. And we had an in-house cabinet shop that did commercial cabinets. That one's called the Urban Wood Shop. And those guys all bid work to generals across town and even out of town.
So I'm going to ask another question. I might turn it over to Steve for a second. So you're brothers, and you work together, and you grew up together. So how does that work in the office? Is it hard to work with your brother? I've never worked with I guess not really with my family. So I'm curious. Well, I do. I work with you.
You do, yeah.
It's hard, isn't it? I'm not even going to ask the question.
Jeez.
It's hard.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's kind of our goal, is that we know we're still going to have Thanksgiving and Christmas together. So we definitely have moments where we disagree on things. Ultimately, Brian owns the business. So, I mean, he's got his position and I can argue mine, but
well, yeah, we certainly can. We're a company that just recently started working on EOS, the operational or the entrepreneurial operating system.
So explain to someone who doesn't know what is that? What does that mean?
So EOS is the entrepreneurial operating system. It's a business platform on how you operate your business. It doesn't make your job easy. It makes it simple. There's a book called Traction out there. If you read that book, it explains a lot about how that process looks like. Really can be applied across any industry. There's a range of business sizes that it works well with. Our size is one that fits very well in that EOS model. But one of the key components of EOS is your core values. And what are your 5 core values that we have? The number one is family. And so being that our core value is family, that makes it a little easier for us as family to work together because it's truly how we're built. And although we are brothers, I mean, I feel like everybody that's a part of all of our companies are family. It just kind of carries across the whole entire organization.
All right. Well, it's easier said than done sometimes, but it sounds like you've had a few years to figure it out. So that probably helps too. You kind of grew up in it. So that probably makes it a little easier.
And for those people who can't see, I just want to describe that we are up in, is this called the bird's nest up here?
Mezzanine.
The mezzanine.
The mezzanine.
Yeah.
You can see projects.
The city required us to call it that, so we could actually get it built. Yeah.
I like that. So you can see multiple projects
Welcome to the mezzanine
when you're up here, right? And so even as you look out here, you get to kind of look in every direction. And I think the big part is, when we've worked with you outside of this interview and other podcasts, is like building Sioux Falls, like what's important to you in terms of, call it the legacy you're building. And I would ask you, what is important to each of you? Because it's probably a little bit different. So, Brian, you're running the company for Jan's. What's the important thing for you, like that you want to make sure before your time is done here that you can contribute to the community? And then Brad, I want to know for you too, because they should be different, but I suppose they kind of march to the same drum to a degree.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm happy to. So part of my, passion for being in this business is to, number one, carry on the legacy that our father built. He built a great reputation, left some big shoes to fill. And so to continue carrying that on is important to me. Yep. But also, the business world has changed. Sioux Falls has continued to grow and evolve. And so how do I change it to my own way of doing things? And one of the things that's really kind of driven home with me is just creating opportunities. I like to create opportunities for the people that we work with, as far as clients go, but also for employees. And what can I offer them for ways to get more involved, to further their careers, further their lifestyle, and make opportunities for them as well. So that's something that drives me.
Why is that so meaningful to you, though? Because I love that, but it has to be at times, like creating opportunities is hard sometimes, right?
Right. I think, growing up in the building industry, it's all a part of that. You're building opportunities, you're building more. And for me, it's always been deeper than just get the job done and move on to the next one. It's, building something that's lasting and legacy and that's meaningful and something that can get carried on through generations. Obviously, that's important to us. We live in a day and age today where private equity groups move in and businesses are sold. That's not something we're interested in. We want to create an ongoing evolution of our company and keep it family oriented.
There's so many construction companies that have come to Sioux Falls in the last few years. Why is that? And how are you guys positioned differently from all of those companies?
I love that question, Brad. We're going to go back to you quick.
Oh, wait.
For the second half.
Hang on a second. What's going on here?
Which is why
hijacking my question. It's so good.
It was a great question, and I have an answer.
Yeah.
But to Steve's earlier question.
Oh, that's right. I did interrupt. You're right.
Yeah, you did, but that's okay. It's a good question. You're right.
To tie into what Brian said, I would say relationships. And I think what he was saying at is, we don't want to be the company that's like, hey, we want your project and then thanks. We want to build a relationship where when someone has a need, if it's 5 years to expand or 10 years, hey, we've grown so much, we can't expand here, we need a new location. We want to have that relationship that they want to work with us again and vice versa. So, I think relationships would probably be the one thing that I look at all the time and see, what's beneficial for both parties.
All right.
Back to Melissa.
Back to me. Just kidding. No, I am curious because I know we've talked a little bit about all the construction companies that you see in town. So tell us, what's going on? I know there's a lot of growth here. We keep getting the updates about the $1 billion in construction. Tell us what's happening behind the scenes.
I think it's maybe a testament to what a great place we live, both from our state, our city. We do things right, and it's created growth that a lot of other parts of the country don't see. And I think it's the word's getting out, unfortunately. So, you mentioned new company. It seems like every week we hear about a new one that's moving to Sioux Falls. And on one hand, it's like, that's great. I'm glad that we're in a position as a city that has that much growth. From a competition standpoint, it makes it challenging, and that's where we want to set ourselves apart and not be like every other company. We want to do things from a different perspective. We want to be unique in, like Brian said, opportunities of how we work with people, and we can get pretty creative when it comes to projects. So.
Yeah, I know from our standpoint too, we travel. Obviously, we do work in other communities. We don't just work in Sioux Falls, but we're not afraid that Sioux Falls is our home. It's where we grew up. We tell that to everybody. It's not a secret. We don't go move into other communities and put up a shop and say, now we're from there too. And we think that's kind of what we're seeing happen with some of these new companies moving in. They're claiming to be local and being from here. But yeah, we've been here for almost 45 years, and we're going to continue to do that out of this Sioux Falls area.
So I have a question. You, Brian, now are running the company. You own the majority share of the company. And Brad, you're in the family business, right? And I don't know if you always knew that path. You had ran a different place across town and you ended up coming back, which is awesome. You all have kids. Is that something that's on your mind? I know, Brian, your son is out getting ready to take over the family ranch, right? Are you worried maybe then he's not going to want to run the business when I'm my father's age? Did those things cross your minds, or are you not there yet?
They certainly cross my mind all the time. I have three children, and so they're going to follow the same rules that we grew up under. And even in the case of my son, who says he's going to take over the family ranch, he's going to have to figure out how to work somewhere else for 2 years. And we're fighting that because he says, I just want to go work there now with our uncle. And I've put him in contact with a couple people in the area that are different farmers. He worked for a couple neighbors this summer. So we're getting that. But yeah, it does concern me, and that's why I'm looking for options. I can't. Nothing will be guaranteed to them. There's not a place just waiting for them. They have to earn it, and if that doesn't happen, there has to be a plan B or other opportunities for employees to step up and take over.
Yeah, and I have 4 children. My oldest is a senior this year. She's shown interest in the architect and design field. So, and like all of my kids, I guess my wife and I, we say, you know what, follow your heart. If there's something that you have a passion for and love doing, do that.
That's always an interesting dichotomy. Thank you guys for opening up about that, because I think that's not something everybody's willing to admit is like the part of I'm part of a legacy, but it might not continue after me, even if I will it to happen and everything's good. So I know that's something that's maybe not as important to us in our company yet, but I see it with you guys.
Nothing to do with whatever we're doing.
Nothing.
Whatever that, no, thank you.
Yep. But it is evident with you guys that it is strong sort of, and I look at your son and Brian, and I couldn't help but think interesting. You're there with your dad, your son's there with you. It's just on the ranch. So there's probably something in your DNA that is going to continue to pass down.
Well, I will say we did just hire my oldest daughter, who's a senior, as our cleaning lady to clean both of our offices, which is where Brad and I started back even prior to being legal age to work. We cleaned the office as our chore, back when we were young.
It was our first allowance.
Yeah.
Cleaning lady was your first job?
Cleaning the office. Yep. We had 3 jobs and we rotated between the 3 of us every week. So we'd go on Sunday and vacuum, dust, mop floors, and clean the bathroom, and then we got $5.
No free lunches around here. I like that.
That's right.
I like that.
So who wins the battle when you're on a site and you're playing music? I hear there's a little bit of a rift between your musical styles. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a little overlap, but I think, I'm a 90s hip hop guy since the 90s, and I feel like, the new stuff just isn't the same.
Just doesn't cut it?
No. And the old stuff still resonates.
We were on a family vacation just a couple of weeks ago, and we went golfing together, and that was we let the first 9 be his music, and the second 9 was mine. So,
what's something that you wish everybody knew about the construction industry? Or maybe I should broaden it to beyond construction, because you guys do development as well, right? So what's something that you wish everyone knew about the industries that you work in?
There's challenges that no matter how long you've done it, you're always going to run into something that is new. It's also evolving. So I think staying ahead of the curve, or at least in tune with what's happening as the city changes. The advancements in technology with, GPS and all that. It's just, it's an ever evolving machine.
Is there trade secrets even exist anymore now that AI is here? Are people just integrating that at warp speed in your industry, or are you seeing most of that stay out on the perimeter right now?
From the specific labor standpoint, I don't know that there's ever a time that all jobs can be replaced by machines.
Sure. Yeah.
But on the information side, I think there's been some pretty big advancements, and it's staying ahead of some of that with what's real and what's not.
So do you have, is it hard to find people to work for? I would assume construction, like many industries, it's hard to find people. What kind of people do you look for? How do you find them?
Yeah, it's very difficult. We have a great HR department here. Laura heads it up, and our the unemployment rate is below 2% in Sioux Falls, and construction, especially like in the field side and labor side, is not easy work. It's dirty, it's hot, it can be cold. We work year round. We even pour concrete year round. And so it's not easy work, and you're not sitting behind a computer all the time. But we do a great job of recruitment through schools, through high schools and colleges. Word of mouth is probably our biggest, though, is just people that know other people. What we do to find the right person, though, is using our core values. That's where we start. We got to have a good fit with our core values. If they don't fit those, that's probably not going to work out. So that's where we start, and that makes that pool even shallower when we're looking for the right person. But the work that we're doing is serious. There's implications of a structurally sound building and quality construction that gets built. And so that comes into play too. We have to find people who not only are qualified to do the work that we need to, but also have the care and the desire to do it right the first time, so that it's not just not good enough for today, but that it's done right every time. And quality is one of our other core values. And so we live by that too. It's got to be done by people who know what they're doing.
There's a company out there listening right now, and they go, gosh, core values sounds nice. What would your advice be to them on, because I know you guys talk about them and do them a lot, right? It's an action. Where do they start? How do they get honest with themselves and say, and how do we develop our core values?
Well, a lot of it, is ingrained. It's a matter of just finding them, right? The core values are already there. It's really the makeup of the leadership, and what does that culture look like? What's driven out of that culture? And so there are certain, books and ways you can go through the process. A lot of it's taking your leadership group and finding out, who are important people in your life and what made them important, or people that you looked up to. What are those traits of those people that you try to reflect and try to push? That's really where you find out, well, those actually are your core values, because that's what attracted you to that person.
Well said.
I like it. Well, tell us, as we think about Sioux Falls and the future of Sioux Falls, I always have 2-part questions. One, where do you see Sioux Falls going? What excites you most about the future of Sioux Falls and Jan's Corporation's place in it? And then I have another question at the end about just why you love Sioux Falls. What's the part about Sioux Falls that makes you stay here, want to raise your family here? You have lots of opportunities to grow beyond, this zip code. zip codes. What do you love about it, and what's the future?
Sure. Well, growing up here, we always complained that there wasn't a lot to do. You were growing up in high school, you're like, well, what else can you do but drive around the loop and, get into trouble? It had its moments for sure. I think actually our sister met her husband there.
Yeah.
Matt, love made everywhere.
She's going to love that, by the way.
But it really was a great place to grow up, and we didn't have to worry about leaving our doors unlocked and leaving things out in the open in our front yard. That has changed some, and there's some areas that you have to be cautious, but that's just the world we live in too. It's not just Sioux Falls. I mean, that's just the world we're in, unfortunately. But the people here is really what sets Sioux Falls apart. The willingness to help each other out. We see that even more so on the rural side, out where the ranch is. When tragedy happens or issues arise, people are the first to step up in this area and just say, how do we help? How do we dig in? And I don't see that changing even as we grow.
I know growing up and we'd visit a bigger city like Minneapolis or Omaha, and you would drive for a while and all of a sudden you see a sign and you're like, what? We're in a different town? We never left. I see Sioux Falls in the next 10 to 20 years. Our surrounding communities with Harrisburg, Brandon, T, Hartford, you'll drive to those places and never really leave a town. So that's where I see the growth going all directions. And it's a great place. People are going to continue to flock here, and it's good for business.
I was actually, I live in Lincoln County, just south of the Sioux Falls border, so I had to go down to the courthouse in Canada to do some paperwork for some title vehicle work for vehicles. And there was a guy next to me in line, and he said, I get made fun of all the time for how much excited I get for paying my registration for my vehicles. And he's like, and it's because I'm from California. You guys, this is cheap from what I'm used to. Like, I would gladly pay this for my vehicle because it's triple in California what I was paying. I was like, well, that's an interesting perspective, because I was not thinking the same thing as I was writing a check.
Well, costs have certainly gone up. When I look at things, it seems like home prices, for example, don't seem that far off from Minneapolis now. Is there some truth behind that, or am I just looking at the wrong sort of gauge? Are we pretty close to a city like Minneapolis, or are we still percentages behind?
I don't know what percentage, and I think it depends on part of town here, part of town Minneapolis, where you would compare. But I hear stories all the time, even comparing, like, just had lunch with a guy today that was moved here from Idaho, and he said the house he bought in Harrisburg for $400,000, the exact same house where he was in Idaho would be close to $1 million. Oh. So he's like, this is insane. He's like, the house we sold there was smaller, had less amenities, and he's like, to me, this is a gorgeous home, and I paid a fraction of what I had there.
The value's high.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think, the cost of construction has gone up. Obviously, we talked about labor issues, and so you get to pay money for better people. You have to increase their salaries and material prices. We've seen what's happened the last 4 years with them. But I think what makes Sioux Falls better is the living expense has been just like the taxes you pay. Minnesota has a state income tax. Yeah. South Dakota doesn't. So you automatically get a break living here. Now, depending on which community you live in, you can pay some higher property taxes. And there's obviously a big debate going around about that lately. But it's still relative to other communities. We're still in a pretty affordable place.
What's the hardest thing about growing up in a multi-generational family business?
I grew up thinking that Dale, our dad, was the smartest guy I knew. I still think that, but there's definitely perspectives I've seen where I'm like, I'd maybe think differently on that. And I know Brian is not afraid to challenge his ideas and say, Dad, I think I'm going to do it this way instead. And I don't know if you can attest to that or.
Yeah, certainly. We don't always see eye to eye, and I can say that he's been very open to that. If I decide to move the company in a different direction, he doesn't warn me or say, "Hey, no, don't do that." He really goes along and says, "Okay." But what was the original question?
The hardest part about.
For me, it's the perception. When you're the boss's kid, you're automatically perceived as lazy. You're perceived as you didn't earn it. It was given to you. And people just assume things about you before they even get to know you or get to work with you. And so that's always the hardest thing to overcome. I've kind of prepped my kids for that. I feel like you have to work twice as hard to get half of the respect.
Mm-hmm. What's the best part about it? What's the best part of like working with your family and being like, I know you mentioned all of your employees are family to a degree, but what's the best part of the experience you've had?
I mean, I would say just the history. I mean, we used to share a bedroom when we were in elementary school.
You don't anymore?
Well, certain weekends. Yeah. Yeah, we have on occasion motorcycle trips. But having the history where I feel like I can go in and talk to him about anything, whether it's work related, personal, that I maybe wouldn't do if we weren't family.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's amazing. We really appreciate you being on the show on Spotlight Sioux Falls. We're going to hear more about you guys and your family farm on your podcast. You've got your own podcast coming up here in the next few weeks, and we're excited to hear more from you and on the 2 Bees in a Pod, right?
Yeah. What can they all expect if they tune into that podcast when it drops?
I mean, buckle up, Steve. Anything's possible.
And everything.
Yeah. No, talking about the business a little more, talking about our correlation between construction, our history with our family farm and ranch. We're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to get a little crazy. I don't know, what would you add to that?
Well, the reason for it is what makes us different, I think, from our competition is the people that you work with. Yeah. It's the team that we have behind us. And so, we could certainly put advertisements out there on a sheet of paper that tells you who we are, but a podcast gives us that opportunity to actually get people in front of them, meet them, and learn more about us as a company and our team members and the people that we work with. And so that was the opportunity we want to share with everybody. And then we've got some funny stories along the way that our life has guided us through, and we want to share those as well too.
We'll bring Dale in, our father who founded the company. He's got some tidbits, and he's, I think, retired 3 times, and he still keeps showing up. So he'll have some interesting feedback on his perspective.
You've given him the red stapler and maybe put him in the basement so far. He's still got an upstairs office.
He and Milton are fighting for that cake.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show. And if any of you are wanting to get in touch with the Jans Corporation, we'll have a link below here. You can subscribe to Spotlight Sioux Falls to hear all about Jans Corporation and all the other amazing companies in Sioux Falls. And 2 Bees in a Podcast is going to be launching soon.
It's worth checking out.
It is worth checking out. We'll put a link to that here as well, so you can make sure to check out those episodes on the Jans Corporation YouTube page.
You guys did great. You can tell you're doing this quite a bit.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for listening to Spotlight Sioux Falls.
These are the stories and the businesses that shape our city. If you heard something today that made you smile, made you think, or maybe reminded you of someone you know in your neighborhood, please share it.
That's how we support local. That's how we grow. And if you know a business owner we should feature, or you want to tell your story, reach out.
Until next time, we're Steve and Melissa, and this is Spotlight Sioux Falls, where local stories get the stage they deserve.